Now in Emeritus News Brief, I'm Lynn Huston. AT&T, the giant communications company, announcing today it would cut 12,000 jobs because of the weak economy and the changing marketplace. Their announcement did not specify exactly which divisions and locations would be affected, but the layoffs amount to cutting 4% of the workforce. And some workers facing layoffs may be absorbed by other divisions such as wireless and cable. Many non-management employees affected by the reductions have a guaranteed job offer under union contracts. All employees will receive severance in accordance with management policies or union agreements. Despite the new programs to help homeowners facing foreclosure, Fed Chairman Ben Bernanke says it's not working and the government must do more.
Anecdotal evidence suggests that some foreclosures are continuing to occur, even in cases in which the narrow economic interest of the lender would appear to be better served through modification of the mortgage. This apparent market failure owes in part to the widespread practice of securitizing mortgages, which typically results in their being put into the hands of third-party servicers rather than those of a single owner or lender. The rules under which servicers operate do not always provide them with clear guidance or the appropriate incentives to undertake economically sensible modifications. The problem is exacerbated because some modifications may benefit some tranches of the securities more than others, raising the risk of investor lawsuits. More generally, the sheer volume of delinquent loans has overwhelmed the capacity of many servicers, including portfolio lenders, to undertake effective modifications.
And on Capitol Hill, the attitudes toward the big three auto execs requesting a bailout loan improved a little today, but opponents remain unconvinced.
You're going to have restructuring of management. You're going to have to get rid of a lot of people to save a lot of jobs. You're going to have to do the same thing at the UAW. And the question is, I hope that you realize you're in this together. And if you're not going to give the concessions, and the management's not going to give the concessions, and suppliers are not going to give the concessions, we're wasting our time and taxpayers' money, big time. And that's my thought of it. I want to ask you, this is just an aside, because there's been a lot of big talk about it. You flew up here before, I understand that, and you drove up here. Did you drive, or did you have a driver? Did you drive a little and ride a little? And secondly, I guess, are you going to drive back? And if so, if some of us wanted to ride to Detroit, could we ride with you?
Where'd you stay? What did you eat?
No, wait a minute, Senator Dodd. You asked that question. The chairman wants to make light of this, but I can tell you this. Are you planning to drive back?
Yes, sir.
All the press releases, you drove up here.
Yes, sir. And I did have a colleague ride, and we rotated. We drove, left Tuesday night and drove until midnight, and then got up at 5:30 the next morning and drove the rest of the way in. And we did rotate, and I do plan to drive back.
What about you?
We carpooled, I drove, and I'm driving back.
You didn't carpool with him, did you?
No, carpooled with our Ford team.
Okay, what about you?
I drove with a colleague. We split it up about 50-50. We drove down yesterday, and I'm going to drive back myself Friday or Saturday.
Mr. Sandy, one last question.
I took a
part of your testimony, you said that there is no better way to ensure that the big three are around than if they are significantly restructured in Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Would you please explain here, we know it'd be painful, we understand all this, why restructuring under Chapter 11, in your view, is preferable to restructuring outside of bankruptcy, if it is?
Now, let me clarify. I think the best option...
I was just quoting your testimony.
But I'll clarify my testimony.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think the best option is to have a restructuring outside of bankruptcy. I think if you can get all the stakeholders together and they can all agree, that's preferable to bankruptcy. Everyone's coming together.
Do you believe that's going to happen?
I'm very doubtful that it will happen. So what I'm suggesting is that you give them the opportunity, because if you don't, I think failure at this point, bankruptcy at this point in time, would be cataclysmic for the economy. I really believe that. So I think you need to help them now. Give them an opportunity. And also they've done some good things. They've restructured. Their labor costs have fallen. They have made concessions. I think they deserve the opportunity to execute. But I would make it very clear that if they don't, the next step is indeed a bankruptcy, so that you can prepare as Congress, you can be ready. Because you will have to do something in bankruptcy too. You'll have to do two key things. First, you're going to have to provide financing in bankruptcy, because if they go into bankruptcy without your help,
there's provisions for bank financing.
They won't get it. They won't get it in this environment. They will go into liquidation. And secondly, you will probably have to guarantee any warranties on the cars that they sell. Otherwise, they're right, no one will buy their cars.
So you're putting the taxpayers on the hook a long time, aren't you, basically?
No matter what?
No matter what.
No matter what.
And how long do you believe it would be before, if they got to 34 billion, how long will it be before they're back here in your judgment?
I think it'll be
6 months?
No, it'll be fall, late 09.
But they'll certainly be back, won't they?
I think that's a high probability.
And 34 billion is probably just the beginning. Is that correct?
I think that's a high probability.
Thank you, Senator Dodd.
Among the scores of solutions being considered before the end of the year, a $4 billion loan just for the worse off of the three, GM, and perhaps another for Chrysler, then waiting for the new administration in Congress to formulate a comprehensive plan. The latest on the biggest issues and public policy at emeritusnews.com. That's an Emeritus News Brief. I'm Lynn Huston.